Good evening, hello, good morning from wherever you're listening to this at. My name is Joseph, and I am continuing on with this mission to complete A Course in Miracles with you. And tonight, this afternoon, this evening, where I'm at, I am continuing on with Chapter 2, Section 2. It is the Atonement as Defense. And I thought earlier today that I should clarify something. God is mentioned a lot in this book, but this book is far from religious. It is absolutely the opposite of religion. And I just want to clarify that about this book. And if you're familiar with it, you already know that. But if you're just joining me, this is called A Course in Miracles. And it is a very, very phenomenal book. It's one of my favorite books, which is why I chose this is the first one I chose to read on YouTube with you. And I hope you will stick around to complete this book with me or read along with me, because it's a very good learning tool, teaching tool, and transformational book. And with that, I will continue. Section 2, the Atonement as Defense. You can do anything I ask. I have asked you to perform miracles and have made it clear that miracles are natural, corrective, healing, and universal. There is nothing they cannot do, but they cannot be performed in the spirit of doubt and fear. When you are afraid of anything, you are acknowledging its power to hurt you. Remember that where your heart is, there is your treasure also. You believe in what you value. If you are afraid, you are valuing wrongly. Your understanding will then inevitably value wrongly, and by endowing all thoughts with equal power, will inevitably destroy peace. That is why the Bible speaks of the peace of God, which passeth understanding. This peace is totally incapable of being shaken by errors of any kind. It denies the ability of anything not of God to affect you. This is the proper use of denial. It is not used to hide anything, but to correct error. It brings all error to the light. And since error and darkness are the same, it corrects error automatically. True denial is a powerful protective device. You can and should deny any belief that error can hurt you. This kind of denial is not a concealment, but a correction. Your right mind depends on it. Denial of error is a strong defense of truth, but denial of truth results in miscreation, the projections of the ego. In the service of the right mind, the denial of error frees the mind and reestablishes the freedom of the will. When the will is really free, it cannot miscreate because it recognizes only truth. You can defend truth as well as error. This means the means are easier to understand after the value of the goal is firmly established. It is a question of what it is for. Everyone defends his treasure and will do so automatically. The real questions are, what do you treasure and how much do you treasure it? Once you have learned to consider these questions and to bring them into all your actions, you will have little difficulty in clarifying the means. The means are available whenever you ask. You can, however, save time if you do not protract this step unduly. The correct focus will shorten it immeasurably. The atonement is the only defense that can be used destructively because it is not a device you made. The atonement principle was in effect long before the atonement began. The principle was love, and the atonement was an act of love. Acts were not necessary before the separation. because belief in space and time did not exist. It was only after the separation that the atonement and the conditions necessary for its fulfillment were planned. Then a defense so splendid was needed that it could not be misused, although it could be reused. Refusal could not, however, turn into a weapon of attack, which is the inherent characteristic of other defenses. The atonement thus becomes the only defense that is not a two-edged sword. It can only heal. The atonement was built into the space-time belief to set a limit on the need for the belief itself, and ultimately to make learning complete. The atonement is the final lesson. Learning itself, like the classrooms in which it occurs, is temporary. The ability to learn has no value when change is no longer necessary. The eternally creative have nothing to learn. You can learn to improve your perceptions and can become a better and better learner. This will bring you into closer and closer accord with the sonship. But the sonship itself is a perfect creation, and perfection is not a matter of degree. Only while there is a belief in differences is learning meaningful. Evolution is a process in which you seem to proceed from one degree to the next. You correct your previous missteps by stepping forward. This process is actually incomprehensible in temporal terms because you return as you go forward. The atonement is a device by which you can free yourself from the past as you go ahead. It undoes your past errors, thus making it unnecessary for you to keep retracing your steps without advancing to your return. In this sense, the atonement saves time, but like the miracle it serves, does not abolish it. As long as there is a need for atonement, there is need for time. But the atonement, as a completed plan, has a unique relationship to time. Until the atonement is complete, its various phases will proceed in time, but the whole atonement stands at time's end. At that point, the bridge of return has been built. The atonement is total commitment. You may still think this is associated with loss, a mistake all the separated sons of God make in one way or another. It is hard to believe a defense that cannot attack is the best defense. This is what is meant by the meek shall inherit the earth. They will literally take it over because of their strength. A two-way defense is inherently weak precisely because it has two edges and can be turned against you very unexpectedly. This possibility cannot be controlled except by miracles. The miracle turns the defense of atonement to your real protection, and as you become more and more secure, you assume your natural talent of protecting others, knowing yourself as both a brother and a son. My takeaway from this section, how it explained that choosing, right? We are choosers. We are choosing our reality. We are choosing our thoughts. Let me just briefly check back into this section, and because it was a longer one than the previous ones we've had. Chapter 4, chapter 2. Cause and effect. The denial, yes. How you deny something, and it's basically saying how you think of it, how you perceive it, your perception of it. It says here, I'll read it again. True denial is a powerful protective device. You can and should deny any belief that error can hurt you. So you are choosing a positive outcome of it. You're choosing a a higher outcome of it. You're choosing a outcome that suits you, that best suits you, that you desire, other than an error thought, an error desire, or anything that can hurt you. And me personally, I always choose the best outcome, the most possible outcome that for me that I would desire to see. So it helps me. It helps me a lot, and I know that it has been ingrained in me completely to deny error. And how about you? What do you think about this section? Let me know in the comments, and I hope to see you again next time. But before I go, I would like to remind you that this is a course in miracles. It is a required course. The only thing that is not required is the length of time you take to complete it. Thank you again for reading with me today, and I hope to see you next time.